The Path and the Rock, a calming bedtime story based on Matthew chapter 7. The stars had begun to appear, one by one, over the hills of Galilee. The sky was turning soft and dark, painted in strokes of violet and blue, and a hush had fallen across the land. The people, after a long day, settled near the gentle slope where Jesus had been teaching since morning. Some sat with their heads resting on their hands. Others leaned against olive trees. Children curled into their mother's arms, blinking slowly under the golden light of the setting sun. Jesus stood on the hilltop still, calm and kind, his voice steady as he continued his teaching. Words meant not just for the ears, but for the heart. "Do not judge," Jesus said, his tone gentle but clear, "so that you will not be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged." The people listened quietly. A father looked at his son, remembering a moment of anger. A woman thought of a neighbor she had spoken harshly to. Jesus continued, "Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not notice the plank in your own? First take the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's." The words settled like dew on the hearts of the listeners. Jesus paused, letting the truth rest in the stillness, and then spoke again. "Do not give what is holy to dogs, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you." Some furrowed their brows, but the wise among them understood. What is precious should be guarded with wisdom. Not everyone is ready for the deep treasures of truth. Then Jesus looked upward toward the growing night sky and said words that would echo for generations. "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you." A child lifted his head and smiled. "For everyone who asks receives," Jesus said, "and the one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened." He turned to the fathers in the crowd. "If your child asks you for bread, will you give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will you give him a snake?" There were quiet chuckles. If you, though you are not perfect, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? The crowd sat quietly, warmed not just by the fading sun, but by the peace of the words. Jesus lifted his eyes again and said, "So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets." A mother gently stroked her daughter's hair, understanding in her heart. Love begins with how we treat one another. Now, the stars brightened and the breeze grew cooler. Jesus' voice remained calm as he spoke of choices. "Enter through the narrow gate," he said, "for wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." The people felt the weight of that truth. Some paths are easy and crowded, but not all lead to peace. Then Jesus warned them with gentle firmness. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. He pointed to the fig trees nearby. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. The message was simple, clear. What is in the heart will show in the life. Words are not enough. Jesus paused and then said something that made every soul in the crowd quiet again. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. He spoke not to frighten, but to wake the heart to what matters most. Not empty praise, but faithful living. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name and drive out demons and do many miracles? Then I will say to them, I never knew you. Depart from me. Not the miracles, not the noise. It is obedience and love that matter. And finally, Jesus gave an image so clear, even the smallest child could understand. He looked over the hill and said, Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words and does not do them is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came, the streams rose, the winds blew, and that house fell with a great crash. The people saw it in their minds, a storm, a house on rock standing firm, a house on sand falling into ruin. The message was simple, but strong. Build your life on truth, on obedience, on God. Jesus finished speaking. A holy hush settled across the hill. The people didn't cheer or shout. They simply sat, the words echoing in their minds like a gentle bell in a valley. Some had tears in their eyes. Others smiled with new hope. The stars twinkled above. The night had fully come, but no one was afraid. They had heard the voice of their teacher, not shouting commands, but giving light for the path ahead. And as the people stood and quietly returned to their homes, they carried with them the teachings that would become their foundation: the narrow way, the golden rule, the wise builder, the prayerful heart, the unseen gifts, the fruit of truth, and peace, true peace, went with them all the way home.